Can we give ourselves permission to raise our voices in this space? Again, practicing it in here so we can get better at it out there. I find that naming it and, disarming people with humor is really helpful. So like one of my lines is, don't worry, there's no such thing as wrong notes. There's just harmonies that nobody's ever thought of before.
I just kind of want to know how she approaches like all of the Talmud.
Right.
Like, are you concerned about the science here? Have you read about the demons?
Right. Right. How about the splitting of the Red Sea? Like, if you only think it's important because you think it's true, I don't know. That's just not a great bedrock for religious experience.
But if she thought the splitting of the Red Sea was scientifically accurate, I would love to hear that explanation.
Right.
What a world that would be to live in.
Right. And the oil lasting 8 days, like all of these things. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care if it literally happened. That's not what's cool about it. Right.
I feel like the difference is that my expectations of truthiness from like Torah and Talmud are different than my expectations of truthiness from like historical documents. Mm-hmm. But these were from like the 13 to 1700s.
Right.
So maybe their expectations of truthiness were different than mine.
Right. But look, it wouldn't have become a widespread thing if it didn't work on some level.
So we should all go through loaves of challah.
Yes.
Into a wildfire.
Yes.
Get hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah. Welcome to Yenta, where we talk exclusively about Ashkenazi fire magic rituals. This is so exciting to have you here. So we're welcome to the very first Antonia solo on the road episode of Yenta. I know, it's really exciting. You don't know this, but I did not originate as the co-host of this podcast.
Oh.
Ray, my co-Yenta, originated this podcast. Mm-hmm. They've done a couple solo on the road episodes, but not moi. And so...
Is this just a Hachayanu moment?
Oh my God. Do
you know harmony? I know you know it.
No, you know it. Yes.
That was great. Good job.
You've met every expectation I had for this podcast.
Oh, good.
You're perfect. So we are so excited to have you here. We have the unbelievable guest, Eliana Light. So just like listeners, so you know, Eliana is a big freaking deal in the like American Jewish folk music world.
In a very, very, very small niche.
It's a huge world. Huge. No. She's selling out arenas. But this is, I actually have to say, I think you're the guest I'm most excited for ever because I am a like rabid fan of your music. Like, obsessed. So, Eliana has 4 albums. The latest one, Orah Hi, you should all go pull up on Spotify literally this second because it's unbelievable. And the title track, Orah Hi, is like, I think, just changing Passover Seders forever.
Oh, thank you.
Like, it is the best Seder song I have ever heard. I tried to teach my family, and they... we're not up to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the only problem is that it's an advanced song.
It's very advanced.
Yeah. But it's okay because it's brilliant and you should all start learning it now and then by Passover you'll be ready. So Eliana is a, internationally touring musician, Jewish educator. You go around to school or you go around to Jewish institutions and like teach them how to better connect with like tefillah, prayer and liturgy.
Yeah.
That's kind of right.
Yeah.
And she runs the Light Lab, which is, I think, the organization through which you do that. Mm-hmm. You have had an amazing podcast called the Light Lab Podcast with Josh Warshawski. Another, honestly, icon of the Jewish music scene.
And Ellen Dreskin, who's also amazing.
Ellen Dreskin.
Yeah.
And it's a really good podcast. I've listened to... at least 10 episodes.
Oh, thanks, friend.
Yeah, and I really like it. It's really good. But it's on hiatus.
It's on hiatus for now, trying to figure out how to make it sustainable. As you know, being a freelance sort of person is like a big juggling act. And, you know, as also someone with like chronic health conditions, how do we do the work and also live and also take care of ourselves? It's a lot.
Eliana, wow, what an incredible segue into my message to you, the beautiful, gorgeous listener. If you're here, like, look, you love us. So go to patreon.com/Yenta. It's where we put all of the gossip that is so juicy that we cannot put it on the main feed because it would ruin our lives. Basically, it's like sex in Israel.
You know,
that sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But it's so good. And if you're not up for that donation yet, subscribe. Whatever you're doing on whatever platform you're on, subscribe, give us a like, share it through the app, give us a comment. Every one of those things helps us get this like juicy Jewish gossip to more juicy Jews who love gossip. And I forgot to do the very important thing that Ray always does, which is give our tagline. So I'm going to give it now, which is Welcome to Yenta, the podcast that's sometimes about Judaism, sometimes about queerness, and always about gossip.
I like the finger.
Okay, Eliana. Yes. So we're here at something called Limmud.
Yes.
Which is this like crazy Jewish festival. So for our first item of gossip, could you explain what Limmud is?
Yes, I will try. Limmud, or as the Brits say here, Limmud.
Limmud.
Limmud. You've got to get the sound.
Why don't they like ooh?
I don't know, but they really don't.
They don't.
Limmud.
Limmud.
Is a Jewish learning gathering that takes place around Christmas time, which is very lovely here in this country.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and all of these Jews have decided to spend their Christmas vacation trapped in a giant hotel, taking classes, essentially.
Making the best of our incarceration.
Yes. Yes, but it really is quite fabulous. It's like, you know, Jewish nerd utopia. Just all the different kinds of learning that you could want. But what I love about it is that learning is very broad, right? There's comedy, there's music, there's dance, there's people from all different walks of Jewish life. And I love, something about me is that I love a conference. I feel like I thrive in a conference environment.
That's a niche skill set.
It really is, because I'm actually an introvert, or I'm getting more introverted as I get older, I'm finding. But if I have a job, I'm so in it.
Yeah.
So I love teaching and performing, and that's great. But at a conference, like, I know that I have something in common with everybody because everyone also chose to spend their time this way.
Yes.
So I can interact with them much easier than like at a party when I'm not hosting and I don't have a job. I'm an absolute mess.
Makes perfect sense. Like, how much better would a party be if you could be like, so which Talmud study session did you go to today?
Right. How's your party experience going? But like, that's not what usually happens.
No, you can't be like, so did you go to the Rebbitzins rave? That's actually tonight.
That's tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear it's going to be good. That's tomorrow night.
I went to the Havdalah rave. It was amazing.
See, there's a Havdalah rave.
It was so good, you guys.
Done by the guy who did Ashkenazi fire magic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is huge. It's Jewish nerd paradise.
Right.
How would you, like, classify the people at Limmud? Because we both are part of the demographic of, like, invited presenters.
Right.
From America.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is there?
Who else is there? I mean, I can't help but think about the designation that you said last night in your show, which was, what did you say, like very young queers and very old grumps?
Yeah, you're either young and incredibly gay or old and incredibly grumpy.
Yeah. I thought that hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's really true. And I hear that often, like when I do synagogue work also, like go to Friday night at a Reform shul, and there's the young queer people.
Yes.
And the old people. And those are the people.
What's going on there? And why is it that like shuls like cannot get young people except for young queer nerds?
It's really, I feel like synagogue as it stands kind of conventionally is not maybe the most enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I work a lot with educators, and they complain that parents just drop their kids off at school and that they don't go to synagogue. They're like, why doesn't anyone go to synagogue? It's like, y'all, why does anyone go to synagogue? Can we flip that around? Like, can we realize what we're asking people? Like, here, come to this stuffy building and pray in a language you don't understand to a God you don't believe in for 3 hours. Like, that doesn't sound appealing.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, Eliana. And I'm so glad you brought this up. Do you see why I wanted her on the podcast? I feel like we have so many episodes where I'm asking people, so like, do you go to synagogue? And like, why? And like half the people do this thing where they're like, I go on the high holidays and it's very important.
Yes.
And then half the people are like, yeah, I go. It's whatever. And I'm like, it's whatever? It's whatever? Like, really? Because I find it either excruciating or so transcendent it can't be compared to anything.
Right.
And the potential promise of it being a moment of transcendence is so amazing that it makes the dull feel even worse because you're like, this could be so great. So can you please continue this rant about what the fuck is wrong with shul?
What is wrong? Well, I'll say, let's see, for the people, with all that said about why would anyone go to synagogue, I love going to synagogue. But part of that is because I have a lot of synagogue privilege. I don't think we talk about this a lot, that it takes a lot to even just feel confident walking into a space like that.
Oh my God.
Because like a website can say, we are a warm and welcoming community all at once. Most of them do. I don't know of any synagogues that say, like, we are a cold and hostile community.
We're cold and no one will invite you to Shabbos lunch.
Right. Even if that's the case, the website will still say, we are a warm and welcoming community. It's still going to take a lot for someone to, it's going to take a lot for someone to walk in.
Yes.
Because there's so much to know in Judaism, and because we often set the bar super high, especially for a prayer service, like you already have to know what's going on to find it meaningful. Yeah. But if you never know what's going on, how are you going to find it meaningful?
How?
People, I think, feel fear that they don't know enough, that they're not good enough, that they're not Jewish enough. And that's one big thing that keeps people from going to synagogue. A second big thing is the God thing, which I don't think we talk about enough.
Oh, my God.
Prayer. Exactly. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Prayer on the surface seems like, are we just asking Sky God for favors?
Uh-huh.
Like, if that's all we're doing, it's not working. If that's not what we're doing, why are we doing it?
It's like not having the English translation means for newbies that it's completely inaccessible. But then when newbies have the English translation, they're like, this bullshit?
Yeah, 100%. I say this line in my workshops all the time. I say, you ever had the experience where you're singing the song, feels so meaningful, and you're like, I wonder what this means. Yes. And then you look at the translation and you're like, I wish I didn't know what this means. Right. It gets in the way. It mucks up all the gears. And, you know, I have synagogue privilege partially because my dad was a rabbi. I grew up for the first like 7 years of my life. I lived in a parsonage. So that was a synagogue, a house owned by the synagogue. This was in Memphis, Tennessee. The synagogue and the day school where I went to was in one building, and our house was like 4 feet over, and we were across the street from like a Kroger and a fire station. We didn't really have neighbors. It was just the synagogue. Like,
oh my God.
That's where I grew. That's how I grew up.
It's sort of the lifelong version of Limmud, where you're just trapped in an island of Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, I walked myself to school in first grade because it was like 2 feet from my house.
My God, what a life.
I know. It was wild.
But now I understand why you can actually walk into a prayer service and know exactly what's coming and what you're understanding. And I feel like if there was your dad, did you grow up Orthodox? Conservative. Okay. Yeah. It's a big difference because if we were talking to Orthodox Jews, they'd be like, we all know exactly what it means when we're walking into a prayer service. We all know what the prayer service is about and what's coming. And I think probably half of conservative Jews do too.
Yeah.
A minority of Reform Jews know.
Right. But here's the thing though, is there are ways to lead a service and structure a service that can make it accessible for anybody. That's my goal when someone comes to a service that I'm leading. I want someone to be able to come in off the street, having never been to a service, not being Jewish, not knowing Hebrew, and still have the tools to get something out of it, because I think it's possible. I just think we're not doing it.
Eliana, tell me every single thing that you recommend for making that happen. Longtime listeners know I rant about this all the time, but I don't have good solutions. I'm just the worst kind of asshole who's like, there's a problem and I have no idea how to fix it.
At least you see it as a problem. I think there are so many people that just accept that this is how it is.
Yeah, I'm a hero.
They don't see that you are.
Yeah.
You are.
Thank you so much for saying that.
You're welcome. It's true.
So what do we do?
I think there are two sides to this, and we'll see how. I've been blaming everything this week in my sessions. I've been saying, if I'm not as articulate as I usually am, blame it on the jet lag. Doesn't matter that I've been here for 5 days. Blame it on the jet lag. So I'm going to say the same thing to you, dear listeners. Blame it on the jet lag. The first thing is a reminder that tefillah, this Hebrew word that we use, means both prayer and liturgy. Liturgy is the stuff we inherited from the people that wrote the prayer book, who were people just like us, trying to make sense of the world, responding to life, feeling gratitude and awe and fear and wonder and all these things that we feel as human beings. But the prayer is in the heart. The singing isn't the prayer and the words aren't the prayer. The prayer is in the heart. And I've started thinking about services, tefillah, as going to a spiritual gym. So each prayer is like a different exercise. Like it's working the muscle of gratitude, or it's working the muscle of awe in these different ways. But the goal, right, when you go to the gym, this is hypothetically, I haven't been to a gym in a bit. I do physical therapy, but I don't go to the gym. But like the goal, hypothetically, of using the leg machine isn't to get really good at using the leg machine. It's to strengthen your legs so that they're stronger when you leave the gym. I think the goal of what we're doing in tefillah, the goal is not, when I was a kid and I learned all these things at day school, the goal was to learn how to use the equipment. The goal was to be able to say the words as fast as possible.
Yes.
But actually, the goal is to do the exercise. You can know all about the machine. You can know the history of the leg machine. You can write an essay about what the leg machine means to me. You can know who invented it. You can draw a diagram of it. But you're not going to get any benefit out of it until you get on the machine and do the exercise. And I think there is such great benefit. I mean, there are so many studies about this. About the importance of building a strong spiritual core and spiritual development, how important it is for people of all ages. And we have the tools to do it. We're just not using them like those tools. And so what this means, I know that I could rant. This is why I have a podcast about tefillah. I keep talking about
fucking good. Jews love a metaphor. And this gym metaphor is unbelievable.
Thank you. I'm very proud of it. I have to say.
It's genius. Continue.
Yes. Well, it goes in a couple of different ways too, right? Exercise has benefits now and benefits later. So, right, it releases endorphins in the moment, but it also is building up muscles that get stronger over time the more you do them. And I think the same thing is true. Like singing together can be fun. Yeah. It can be the best thing ever in the moment. And you're also building spiritual skills that can grow over time.
Yeah.
And I think what this means for leaders is... given whatever is in your power, how can you give people the information about what the exercise is of the prayer, and B, the invitation to do it? Because again, there's a difference between knowing that the prayer is about gratitude and actually feeling gratitude.
Yeah. How do you do that without increasing the length of the service in a way that is so intolerable to everyone?
Right. There's like the 10-minute version, the 5-minute version, and the 30-second version.
Yeah.
The 30-second version is something like, as we turn to page 55 for Ahava Rabbah, can you welcome a feeling of unconditional love into your heart?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that didn't take very long. And it's inviting people into doing the exercise, because you can do, here's the thing, you can do the exercise without being able to say, I'll say that again. You can do the exercise without saying Ahava Rabbah. There's a lot of words in that. But you can feel and welcome a feeling of love into your heart with or without the words. I think the words are meant to get us to a heart experience, but we have kind of we fetishize form over function often, and we're like, we have to keep the form, but we forget like why that started. Like each of these prayers, people wrote them, people said them, people put them in a book for a particular order. It's all very wise, and all of it is supposed to help us. I mean, like I say, the words, the melody, the building, the clergy, it's all trying to help us get at a heart experience. The problem is that all of that stuff often gets in the way. So how can we clear the way and make it the easiest possible choice for a person to say yes to the invitation of doing the spiritual work? Otherwise, I don't know why we're doing it.
Oh my God. People. You should be president.
Oh my God. Well,
you should be Lord Rabbi.
Lord Rabbi. That's very kind. I forget how passionate I am about this until I start ranting. And then I'm like, oh no, I care about this very much. And I just want to change. People are like, what do you want to do? And when I'm feeling very ambitious, I'll say, oh, I want to change how we teach, talk about, and experience prayer. Like, that's it.
It's so exciting. Okay, so I have a lot of questions. And this is going in a different direction than I initially wanted to talk to you about, because I initially wanted to be like, let's spend 45 minutes talking about how you're such a brilliant musician, because Eliana is such a brilliant musician. It's literally insane.
It's very cool.
But also you're a brilliant tefillah leader. So let's keep going down that path, because I have a lot of questions.
That's great.
And everyone, you just Google her. Just Google her. Start with Orah Hi. It's like the best. I don't know if you think it's the best. Do you have one that you would recommend to start with?
No, Orah Hi is, I think, the album to start with.
Okay.
I think that's real.
Okay.
It's good.
Start with Orah Hi.
Good, yeah.
It really came out good. And the way you filmed it, too.
Oh, yeah. There's a full concert video online.
Fantastic.
I'm glad you've watched it. It's one of those things. Yeah. I have a tendency of like working really hard on things and then just being boop, like putting them out in the world. Like I don't really know how to do that. I'm like, here's the thing. I spent a lot of time and money on it, but I'm not going to tell anybody it exists because I don't know how.
Yeah, that's the worst part of being an artist.
Yeah.
But listener, look it up. And you've filmed it in this like just gorgeous way where it really feels like you're in the middle of this like lovely singing group of lovely Jews who also happen to be amazing musicians singing amazing songs in this beautiful shul.
Yeah, that's my, if it's the one from Durham, it's the synagogue that I work at in Durham, Bethel. It's a wonderful place.
Great place.
It's a great place.
Looks really cozy. Okay, but so I think that a lot of people connect with Judaism, and this is sort of following on your prayer rant. A lot of people, moi included, connect with Judaism the most through singing. And a lot of them want to have better singing in their lives, either in their shul, in the prayer service, or they want like separate like singing gatherings. And I ask this as someone who wants both of those enormously, and also leads an amateur one in Los Angeles every month. And it's, I mean, world famous and also amateur. And so I think a lot of people struggle with the confidence to take any charge because they're like, I just want to be around good singing. I don't know how to lead good singing or make it happen. So what are some of your prescriptions to fix this horrible problem?
Of leading, of being able to lead?
Yeah, of sort of answering the need for singing, for better singing, both in shul and just in life.
Yeah, it's a big one because you're right. When we think of like what are the highest spiritual moments, so many of them involve sound and they involve resonance. And, you know, I did a whole workshop yesterday about singing circles and what it means to sing as a group. And singing is very vulnerable.
And it was amazing.
The
workshop. Amazing.
Thank you. It was really special. We were doing it in this like converted bar because we're just taking over this hotel and it's just wild and these beautiful chairs.
Crazy.
A Gilded Age bar and we're just like singing Yana and I. It was just very funny to me.
Yeah.
And we talked about how much kind of trust and vulnerability it takes to sing. And so it's important if you're leading singing to help people feel comfortable enough so that they can get uncomfortable. Like I go to synagogues a lot where people will say, oh, well, you don't want to hear me sing.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can go to synagogue sometimes and everybody's singing things, but it sounds like dirge. Like everyone's just singing it by rote.
Yeah.
And we forget how beautiful these melodies are. Like you can sing tzaddik tamar yifrach. That is a gorgeous melody, but not when you sing it like that. Right? So I think inviting people, starting off with something easy, with some Yana and I's, and naming it. I think one of my lines, I know I'm like getting all the taglines I use when I teach teachers, but like, is to make the implicit explicit. Name it. Singing is vulnerable. Singing is challenging. You might have been told once in your life that you're not a singer. Can we reclaim that? Can we give ourselves permission to raise our voices in this space? Again, practicing it in here so we can get better at it out there. I find that naming it and, disarming people with humor is really helpful. So like one of my lines is, don't worry, there's no such thing as wrong notes. There's just harmonies that nobody's ever thought of before. And like, that gets a laugh. And then people sing more. Like there's a marked difference. We start the nigun, the wordless melody, and then I do my whole spiel, and then we sing it again, and more people are singing. And they just needed to be invited. Like, I'm kind of like that. I don't want to go to a party unless I'm invited. I need an invitation, right? So how do we invite people and make it a little easier to say yes to the uncomfortable fact of singing?
You said something yesterday that I was talking about with another one of the workshop participants afterwards, which was when it came to experimenting with harmony, you were like, you said, some of you may have been told you're bad singers and you don't want to like ruin the entire song by singing the wrong harmony. And you're like, but you're not going to ruin the entire song. Like if you heard one wrong harmony while you were singing, you'd be able to move past it. And as a group, you'd be fine. So why would you think that wouldn't be the case for you? Fucking up the harmony a little. You did not say it like that. You said it in this like beautiful, welcoming way, but I heard it as, don't worry if you fuck up the harmony because you're not gonna fuck up the whole group.
Right.
They're here. They're gonna keep the song going.
And that's another muscle we can exercise. I mean, I say that for myself. And I said this too. I get terrified. I sing. My musician friends are so incredibly talented and they can just sing harmony at the drop of a hat and it sounds incredible.
Yes.
And I'm the one that worries about messing it up.
Oh, you are?
I'm the one that's like,
God.
I'm the one that's like, I didn't sing so loud because I was worried I would ruin it. And sometimes I do. And I feel bad because they're like recording their concert. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be the one that makes it so they can't use any of this footage. It's terrible. So like so much of what I teach is like what I need to hear.
Yes.
So it's like, I'm going to practice compassion on myself. I'm going to practice. But like also doing a singing circle, like the stakes are very low. Nobody's mic'd. There's no camera crew.
Yes.
Like, let's practice that in there. A little different when it's like high caliber people and everyone's mic'd and being recorded. And then I'm like, I don't want to sing.
That's actually such a good point that in a singing circle, the stakes are low.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to say that in my next singing circle. Like, it's really okay if for the next hour we sing nothing but garbage.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to get us in trouble?
The permission for this is taking me in a bit of a different direction, but I'll tell you, one of my first Jewish music conferences was Shabbat Shira, which it's last year was this year. It's part of the Havana Shiri universe, which maybe we'll talk about. Songleader training, basically.
Yeah.
I went to their fall conference. I was the youngest one there by many years. It was fun. When I was in my 20s, I feel like my whole personality was being the youngest one in the room, even earlier than that.
Oh, my God.
From when I was a kid. I was like,
oh my God.
That 7-year-old in the Talmud class has some pretty good ideas. And then I became older and I'm like, oh, I actually have to like have merit to what I'm saying. I can't
could
just
not
be the
relate
youngest
more.
person in the room.
Right. You're like, I have to do something other than be precocious.
Right. It was very,
Yeah.
precocious. You're wise beyond your years. Did you ever get that one?
Oh my
I got that
God.
one all the
Yes,
time.
and now
Yeah.
that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, well, fuck. I have to actually have something other than just being adorable.
Right. Well, you're still adorable.
I'm pretty smart and cute. I am still adorable.
Yeah.
So are you.
Oh, thanks.
That's cool.
Cute. Okay, cute.
Cool.
Okay.
Wait, so tell me about the...
Shabbat Shira. I had to say quickly. Okay, so the incredible musician, Jewish music innovator, Julie Silver, who's from, I would say, like, the second generation. If we consider, like, Jeff Klepper and Debbie Friedman, like, Generation A, then Julie's from Generation B, and has some incredible melodies anyway. She was offering a songwriting workshop, and I was like, oh my gosh, what amazing techniques are we going to glean from Julie Silver? She must have so much wisdom. And we all get to the room, and she says, you have 20 minutes to go and write a song that sucks. Go write a song that sucks. That's all we got. And I wrote the Yad song then, which is one of my favorite songs for kids. I've been trying to write a song about the Torah Yad,
a great song.
The Torah pointer. Thank you. I think it's fun. And I wrote it in that session that everyone brought their songs back, and they were amazing. And that's all she told us. And that was the rest of the weekend. Permission to suck. Yeah.
That's good. That's that artist bullshit that, like, you hear it and you're like, yeah. But then you actually sit down and try and write a song that sucks because someone important told you to, and then it works.
Right. It's like I couldn't have done this on my own.
No.
I mean, it's like the story, of course, now my, like, Jewish nerd brain, the story in the Talmud about, like, you can't bring yourself out of the pit. Like, somebody has to pull you up.
Ooh,
like, you can't heal.
I don't know that story.
You can't heal yourself. Someone else has to heal you.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I believe that a lot in terms of relationships. Like, RuPaul has a famous line. It's like, how the hell are you going to love somebody else if you can't love yourself?
How in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here?
That's the...
Now let the music play.
You know the whole...
Drag Race is my favorite show.
It's me too.
Okay.
Wow. Oh my God. There's so much to talk about. Well, I love the sentiment of that. But I don't think it paints the full picture.
Correct.
Because I think sometimes someone loving you so much teaches you how to love yourself. You know?
Yeah.
Pull yourself out of the hole. Gotta write the shitty song.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the market for someone who loves me enough to help me start loving myself.
Yentas?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Just saying.
What kind of person are you interested in terms of gender?
Gender, I like to say mask of center.
Great.
So doesn't have to be a male person, but like a mask of center.
Great. And you're in North Carolina, but you travel a lot.
I do. I do. And I like to say, you know, when you meet the right person, it doesn't matter where they are.
Great.
So I'm, you know, trying to be open this year. So
is Jewish a necessity?
It is not.
Okay.
I have found that I'll often have a lot in common with people who are spiritual or seekers but like, oh my God, part of me was going to be like, but not too spiritual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't be weird about it.
No.
Okay.
Don't be weird. Sometimes I call myself a spiritual skeptic. So like, if you're a spiritual skeptic,
my God,
that's like my kind of person.
I love that phrase. There's a pastor on TikTok who has really great ideas, but can be a little cringy sometimes. But he starts every video by saying something interesting and controversial about the Bible. And then he goes, hi, I'm a pastor. Also a deep skeptic. Anyway.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I really like that. That really gets me every time. Yeah. Okay. Jewish music training, Jewish music song leader training.
Yes.
Is like kind of a huge world.
It's my world.
And it's your world. Like, first of all, what's the hot goss from that world?
What's the hot goss? What is the hot goss? It's so, well, Havana Shira. Okay, the hot goss. Everyone's talking about how Havana Shira is back at Asrui. I will explain what all of that means. Havana Shira is the song leader training camp that was started by Jeff Klepper and Debbie Friedman herself. Icons. My first year going was 2 years after Debbie had passed. So her spirit was there and still is there in everything that we do. And it met for most of the beginning of its run at Olin Sang Ruby Union Institute, which is a Reformed Jewish camp in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, or as you might say, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
Beautiful.
Which is an incredible place. And honestly, I met like all of my best friends there, like my community. I also didn't really know what a Songleader was until then. Like I grew up in a conservative synagogue. We didn't have instruments. We didn't sing in English. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yes.
And so I went there for the first time, and my Jewish practice was very different. My ideas about what was quote unquote right, I thought I had it all figured out, and it just like blew everything up for me. Anyway, so I haven't missed, except for 1 year, I haven't missed Havana Shir in like 13 years, which is incredible. I think it's 13. No, it was in 2013. Whatever the math is, it's been a long time. And now I get to be on faculty there. Like I get to teach it, like taught me everything I know, and now I get to teach there. Anyway, for the past 2 years.
You're such a good ad for them. You know? Like,
yeah, that's fair.
You're like, they created you.
They did.
That's a big fucking deal for them.
That's very kind. Thank you. It's very special. And the camp, people associated with special, like there's a lake, everyone goes to sing by the lake, staying up until 4 a.m, which I haven't done in a long time because I'm old now. But for the past 2 years, Havana Shira was at a different camp, at Green Family Camp in Texas.
God forbid.
I know a lot of people were not happy about it, and they didn't come. But I have to say, Green was really nice. I enjoyed it. The Beit Knesset, the synagogue space, was like carved into the side of a mountain. And so you got to like see the sunset, and every once in a while there would be a big like boom, just like this largest deep bass sound, and it's like, oh yeah, SpaceX is over there. It's the rockets.
That's pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool.
God, Jews love to complain, and they don't love change.
Right. So they didn't come, but this year
it's back.
Havana Shira is back at Asrui, and so maybe some of the people who have been missing will show up. But to be honest, like a smaller, mightier Havana Shira, I've really been enjoying them. I think that they've been really great.
Slightly tangent.
Yeah.
But when I think about your like 4 a.m. singing by the lake, I'm like, oh my God, that's transcendent. What to you are the ingredients of a transcendent Jewish or transcendent singing experience? Jewish or not? Jewish or not.
I think the main ingredient is that a majority of the people there need to be into it. I think about this like it's as simple as that. You know, I think sometimes about why are Jews obsessed with like Baptist gospel choirs?
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
Right. We're obsessed with them because they're singing about God like they believe what they're singing.
Yes.
Because they do. Yes. And we're like timid about it, so we don't put our hearts into it because we've like blocked off that part of ourselves. And we have this envy feeling to them. We're like, I wish we could sing that way. But like there are synagogues and like Jewish spaces where you can go. That's why people, I think, when liberal Jews go to Orthodox spaces, part of, especially like Hasidic spaces, that's part of the envy too. And that's like, it's problematic in so many ways, but they're singing like they care.
They care. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find people who care spiritually in non-Orthodox spaces.
Yeah.
Including me.
Right.
And the way it's like being pulled out of a hole. Like the way to get me to care is for me to be around other people
who care. Of course.
You know? And so it's really hard in non-Orthodox spaces when the majority of the room is not into it.
Right. Right. So that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, how can we help people be into it? But it's not just here. So you think about like concerts, or I even think it works as like one, if I'm the only person around, like if I'm hiking or something, if I'm the only person around and I see something and I'm into it, that can also be a transcendent experience.
Totally.
So it works even if you're by yourself. But I think, right, having a majority of people be into it, having somebody leading who you, part of it is can I trust the person that's leading? If there's a person leading, can I let my guard down, because that's part of the vulnerability. If somebody's leading and you feel like they're not reading the room, or you feel like, it's 10 minutes past when we were supposed to be over, and then you start checking your watch, then it feels like you're being left behind, and that the person who's in charge, like, doesn't know what they're doing, and that makes you uncomfortable. That takes you out of the moment, right?
Yeah.
Because the transcendence is being in the moment.
Yeah.
The transcendence is I'm not thinking about the past or the future. I'm in the moment. I'm experiencing deep time, which is a phrase I could pull up on my notes, but this amazing book, 4,000 Weeks, it's great. Anyway, he quotes somebody else who I can't remember his name, but talks about deep time, where time feels expansive, where when you're in it, it seems like, this is what I'm saying, when you're in it, it seems like forever, and when it's over, it feels like it never happened. Like, those are the best moments.
Right? I love that phrase.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And that language is hard, because I feel like I would have called that maybe transcendence. But deep time is another good way to talk about it.
There's another way. I think,
and
like,
some people
ecstasy,
bliss. Yeah. Some people would just call it like a divine experience or whatever. Yeah. I think that's all really true. Okay, wait. Speaking of deep time, it's 6:30. So,
okay.
Can I ask you, do you have a secret?
I do have, yes. I have two maybe short ones, and you can choose. I also realized there was something about prayer that I would love to say.
Yes.
That we didn't say.
Say it.
Okay. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about. I said it from the leader's perspective. What can we do basically to make things spiritually accessible? But I want to just say a word about what you can do as a layperson, because this idea that the prayer is in my heart and that I actually have control over it, it was like life-changing for me. Because I'm a leader, it's easier for me to be in a synagogue setting and be like, why are they making that choice? Why are they singing that melody? Why are they doing this? And now I just let it go, and I'm like, the prayer is in my heart. It's because I had a water aerobics instructor once who said, this is your workout. I'll be up here leading, but you do know what you need for you, because this is your workout. Do what you need to do. And I take that in shul too. So even if the leader is not compelling, even if the rabbi is speaking too loud, even if nobody is singing, I'm sitting there and I'm like blissed out, because I'm like, you guys, the prayer is in my heart. You can't take that from me. So you get to do that, friends. That's what I'm just empowering you to do. Sometimes I'll look at a page of the Siddur. I'll just kind of gaze at it. You know those like secret word puzzles that go around during the year? And it's like the first 3 words you see are going to be your New Year's.
Oh my God,
sort of thing. So those are fun. And sometimes I pretend a page of the Siddur is like that. It's too many words. I soften my gaze, and then one pops out at me. And I just repeat it over to myself over and over again. I'm like, I wonder where I got this word. Much easier to do than like the whole book of things.
Wow.
So that's like one technique that you can use if you're like, how do I find meaning in a service that isn't hitting? That's one thing to do. To be like, it's yours. You get to do it.
I love that tip. Also, this is another, like, intellectually, I love the idea that you can choose to give yourself what you need.
Yeah.
But to push back, like, the reason that I go to a prayer service with a bunch of people is because what I need is to do it with other people.
Exactly.
Who are feeling it. And if they're not, I might as well not go.
That's fair. I feel like the water aerobics thing actually makes the metaphor work for me, because I love water aerobics. It's the best. It's like the best exercise. It doesn't hurt my joints, you know?
The best.
Exactly. My old lady knees.
Yes.
But I've tried to do water aerobics by myself, just in a pool. And I last like 4 minutes tops.
That's
like,
a good point.
Right? Having this is when we are all showing up to do the thing. It's actually very powerful. So even if we're all having a different experience, which we are anyway, because that's something I love about Judaism also, we'll all be saying the same thing, singing the same thing, but having our own inner experience, our own inner lives. Some people are doing their own thing, but the majority is together. I think that still holds. I think there's power in being able to go on those journeys together, even if we're not always in sync.
I feel like I'm not totally there with you yet.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I represent the large group of people who doesn't get the prayer service yet, and is there for the communal experience. And so that's still going to be hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm a show up for Kiddush most of
You
the
like
time.
pulling a JFK?
Yeah, JFK. because if I'm there for the communing,
Yeah.
it's not happening for me during the service yet. I'd love it to happen during the service, but it's just not there.
Yeah.
So during the Kiddush, the communing is happening. You know?
Can I share? I don't know if this is going to be helpful, but for me, part of the power of liturgy is that it's connective, right? If it's just about the singing, then we might as well sing Disney songs. Everybody knows them and they're more fun to sing.
And we should. So, rabbis.
Right.
Write that down.
You should
Write
add
that
them. I did a Disney melody moose-off once. That was fun. Anyway.
Write that down.
Try to find that. Right. But the thing is, I think that there is something about the liturgy that can be powerful. And one of the powerful things is that we've been singing these words more or less for thousands of years. And sometimes when I'm feeling disconnected, like if the community feeling isn't happening in the service itself, then I can feel connected to my ancestors. And I can feel connected to all of the people around the world who are using more or less the same prayer book that we've all used for a very long time. Even with the changes that different denominations have made, the bones are still the same.
Yeah.
And I can feel connected to all of those who will come after me who will use those words. And so it's exercising that muscle of connection, even if it's not the connection that's happening in the room.
Okay, I like that pitch. That's a little better.
Okay.
I'm not sold, but I like that. You should like teach this stuff.
Oh.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah. I think that's why it's like, right, it's both. I want to empower people to take control of their own prayer experiences. And I want to shake many prayer leaders and be like, you could be making small decisions that would make such a big difference in people's experiences.
Yes.
The thing is, people can only be helped if they want to be helped. People will sometimes be like, can you come to my shul and talk to my rabbi? And I say, I would love to, only if they're ready for it.
Yeah. Only if the rabbi invites you.
Right. Right. I'm not going to show up and just, I will say, there's some, really just one that I'm thinking about, that I went as an artist in residence.
Yeah.
And it was a disaster in many ways. Just this big blank building. Everything was so cold. The first sign that you saw when you entered was rules for decorum in the synagogue. No welcoming. The bima's like a bajillion feet high. The rabbi was so like harsh at you'll find this, well, maybe you won't find this funny, but we were at the rabbi's table. It was like a bunch of men who were on the board and the president and like me and my partner at the time. And one of the men says, I don't get it. We sponsored a float in the Pride Parade. Why don't people think we're welcoming? And I was just, the whole weekend, I was like, ask me for help. Ask me what you can do. Just ask me for advice. I'm not going to give it unless you ask. Please ask. Nobody asked.
Of course not.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, that gets to be what that was. Oh, it was terrible. I'll tell you, the rabbi, oh my goodness. An Orthodox rabbi. It had been an Orthodox and conservative synagogue. They kept the Orthodox rabbi. Partner Sam at the time. Hey, Sam, if you're listening.
Hey, Sam.
We're friends. He came with me, and the rabbi was like, oh, usually the grandkids stay with us, but we didn't have them this weekend because when you said my partner Sam, we were worried that Sam was a lady.
Stop.
And I said, oh, so that would have been a problem?
You can't expose them to hot gays.
I know.
My God, you're a hot, talented, queer. You'd convert them.
Yeah. I would just have that power. It was, that was the worst. That was the worst. We ran out of there. I'm not even telling the whole story. It was not.
That's a nightmare. Also, a sign that says rules for decorum in the synagogue.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Is the most upsetting thing I've ever heard.
It was so bad. I bet their website still said, we are a warm and welcoming community.
I would love a website to be like, no one will speak to you this entire time. If someone speaks to you, they will be scanning for someone better to talk to while they're speaking to you.
If someone speaks to you, it will be to say, you're sitting in Merv's spot. He's not here yet, but Merv sits there.
Merv sits there.
That's his spot. Sure.
Put that on your websites, synagogues. That would just be so helpful. We are warm and welcoming. Well, actually, only Harold. He's very warm and welcoming, but also he's insane.
His hugs will be really long.
They're too long, and the only people willing to talk to him are the newcomers who don't know Harold yet.
Oh, Harold.
Oh, Harold.
Bless his heart, as we say in the South.
What's bless his heart in Judaism? Do we have one?
Do we? We might. In a way that's like a little condescending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That exists. You can't write to us, listeners. Tell us.
Write in. Tell us how to be condescendingly nice to people in a way that we are not already condescending to them. It's our specialty. Okay, so
yes,
the juiciest part of the episode has arrived.
Okay.
The listener, if you're a longtime listener, or if this is your first time because you're just a huge Eliana Light fan, which would be completely understandable. Every episode ends by asking our guest for a juicy secret. So, what have you brought for us?
Okay. It took me a long time to think of one, but when we started talking about Havana Shira, I remember I have a confession to make.
Okay.
My first year at Havana Shira, I was in this camp Songleader track, and we were there for a day before, and we did all this intensive stuff, and we had a Dropbox folder of all of the things. All of the songs, all of the sheet music, all the recordings from the sessions, all the pictures, basically everything that we had done that week, which was full. And these were people who were going to lead at camps. They needed that information. And I didn't totally know how Dropbox worked, and I deleted the whole thing on accident. So it was gone forever, and it was my fault, and I'm really sorry about it, and I'm still not totally over it. So if you were at the Havana Shira song leading track in 2013, I apologize for deleting all of the files.
You ruined lives.
I did.
Did no one know? I guess I'm thinking like I wouldn't know how to tell who was responsible for deleting the Dropbox folder. So did no one
I don't know.
Figured it out?
I don't know.
And was there like
a
group chat going on that was like, oh my God, everything's been deleted?
I think this was before WhatsApp, so I don't know how, but I do think on Facebook people were like, what the heck happened? I was like, I'm not, I don't have enough self-esteem to talk. I don't have enough self-compassion or self-esteem to talk about this right now. Maybe in a bunch of years, I'll feel better about myself.
Also, like...
So I was the outsider. I'd never been there before. And I was like, oh, no.
Yes, little did you know that you would become the pride and joy of Havana Shira on the faculty.
It's my favorite place in the world.
Oh, my God. I hear so much about it.
You should come.
I've never been. I would love to go.
Come this year.
When is it?
It's in May.
Maybe I'll go.
May 19th through 21st. I think registration is open. So, yeah.
All right.
Come sing with us.
I'll think about it.
I hope that was juicy enough.
No, that was. It's so funny because you introduced yourself as someone amazing at conferences.
That's true.
And this is the story of you having a big conference festival gathering. And so that really sort of aligns with the narrative.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes people talk about threesomes, but sometimes people talk about deleting Dropboxes.
Yeah. Well, as I was explaining to our lovely host earlier, like, I'm in the line of work I'm in. There are plenty. I cannot share them with the world. I curate but you know, maybe some of you who took the matchmaking pitch, I don't know, let me know.
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe you'll get some of this stuff I can't say on the podcast.
Think what a life in gay heaven you could have if you found, because they're all gay. They're
lovely.
Yeah. Well, not all of you. And those of you that aren't sometimes right in, and it's the most beautiful thing when one of you's like, I am straight and Christian. And I love this podcast.
Yay!
Someone wrote in, and it was the most beautiful, incredible message. So please write in just to say hi. We love you so much, and set Eliana up with someone. Mask of Center doesn't have to be Jewish. spiritual, but not freaking weird about it. Okay. And, maybe like Southeast United States.
Maybe, yeah.
But like you travel.
Yeah.
If they go to Havanashira, I think that's pretty good. If they go to Havanashira, you've probably met them. So we can think broader outside of that group as well.
Kind of open it up a little bit.
Oh my God. This episode met all of my expectations and exceeded them. You are incredible. Can you tell them where to find you?
Yes, hello them. It is it is so good to be with you. I am reluctantly still on social media, so you can find me at _Eliana Light _ or at thelight.lab. Websites, elianalight.com, lightlab.co, because .com and .org were taken and expensive. That's what I'd like to be someday, taken and expensive. Anyway.
Amen.
My music is available wherever music is sold. I travel around doing concerts and workshops, and I try to keep people updated. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, it would be really fun to sing with you sometime in the future.
And if you're a prayer leader or a song leader listening to this, like be the one who asks Eliana to come, because you need her. Clearly. I'm Antonia Lasar. It's Antonia Lastar on all social media platforms. Mm-hmm. Cute, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And AntoniaLasar.com. That's where you can find all the information about my upcoming shows. My amazing co-host Ray Schiller is at Ray Schiller on all social media. They're not here, but they're hot. So that's really important to know about them.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you've made it all this way through the episode, like, we are genetically related at this point.
Yes.
And you officially like us, and you officially think that this podcast is like a worthwhile thing. So go to patreon.com/Yenta. I think it's pretty cheap. I think it's like $3 a month, and you get such juicy content. I cannot even tell you. We had one episode where me and my husband just really got explicit about every single detail about our sex lives. Like, I actually pride myself on being incredibly explicit about sex, because I think lots of people need to be. But this was even more explicit than I normally get. So you're welcome. That's patreon.com/Yenta. Subscribe right now to whatever you're listening on. Give a comment. Give a like. 5 stars only. I mean, come on. It's not worth it otherwise. And we don't have a sign off. So Eliana, can you think of a good sign off tagline for this podcast?
Can I think of a good, remember, I don't know. Now I'm going to try to be like spiritual. I'm like,
get over it.
Don't sing. Just sing. Just sing. Find a way to sing. It'll feel good. It'll be nice.
Okay.
Maybe sing, maybe.
Maybe sing, maybe. Okay, love you.